His party banished him because he was a useless healer, but no one knew that he was the strongest adventurer in the world. Lost was an orphan born in a dungeon city where adventurers all over the world came to try their luck. He started adventuring right after he learned walking, but made less progress in all those years than I have made with my crush. The reason behind this was that his class was a healer but had no talent at all, and that earned him the title of Lost the Incompetent. Despite getting insulted each day, he strived to become an adventurer and even joined a party, but eventually he was kicked out. Today, he is standing in the Adventurers Guild with a board saying that he is looking for a party. Then suddenly, a blue-haired girl asks him to join her party. Everyone in the guild is shocked, and they look at the girl like they would at Michael Jackson and Kobe Bryant if they came back alive. The girl introduces herself as Sina, a martial artist, and Lost tells her that he is a healer for whatever it's worth. Just then, the receptionist in charge of Lost, Amma, comes running there to stop Sina from making the biggest mistake of her life, because she is talking to the biggest loser in this guild. The receptionist says that everyone knows that even Sakura is much more useful than him, so no one takes him to their party. However, Sina is a total noob who doesn't care about stuff like that, and she tells Amma that she had decided to form a party with Lost very long ago. She then goes to Lost to convince him to join her party, and Amma wonders what she meant by a long time ago. Soon after that, she slides the paperwork for registering a new party towards Sina and Lost, and the stupid girl doesn't even know what to do. Luckily, Lost knows how to fill out the paperwork and does it for her. Sina keeps staring at him with affection, recalling how he was the one who saved her from a monster attack in the past. His act of heroism was imprinted on her that day, and ever since then, she has been trying to find him. After that, Amy asks for her commission, and Lost pays her some copper coins from his tiny purse. Amma declares they are officially partying now, and Sina is really happy to hear that. They shake hands and hit the road, where Lost tells Sina about the dungeon in the city that has not yet been fully explored, and many adventurers come to conquer it. They get out of the city, and Sina asks Lost if it is too early for them to enter the dungeon because the receptionist earlier was lecturing him not to take the newbie to the dungeon so soon. Lost explains that because the magic energy of the dungeon leaks out, there are many parts around the city where monsters are found. All beginners start on the western side, where the monsters are weakest, but Lost says since there are very few monsters there, it is not worth their time. He says that they should go to the dungeon because there are plenty of monsters there, and as long as they don't go deeper, they won't find anything strong. They soon reach the entrance of the dungeon, and Sina immediately steps in front of Lost, saying that she will walk ahead of him since she is a martial artist and he is a healer. Lost has no choice but to agree with her, but he is worried if she can actually fight. His worries are proved baseless, as Sina shows off her skills and makes quick work of the goblins. She proudly asks Lost what he thinks of her now, and he admits that he is impressed. The goblin bodies disappear and leave behind magic stones. Lost picks up one of them and explains that selling these stones to the guild is the main source of income for most adventurers. The stones have magic in them and can be used for various things. This is one of the basics of becoming an adventurer, but the dumb Sina doesn't even know that. Anyway, Lost tells her that goblin magic stones don't sell for much, and they need to hunt stronger monsters to earn more. Sina is eager to go deeper with him, and they venture further into the dungeon. As they keep walking, Lost suddenly pulls her back because she was about to step on a trap. He puts a stone on the tile to disarm the trap, and the floor in front of them suddenly splits, revealing many skeletons pierced by sharp spikes below. Sina is amazed and asks Lost how he noticed it. He replies that he noticed that the color of the tile was a little different than others. They cross the trap area by clinging to the wall, and then Sina says that locating traps is a thief's job. Lost tells her that he has picked up a bunch of useful skills by being an adventurer for a long time. After a while, they suddenly run into an orc, and Lost says that a mid-level monster should not be found here. Sina asks if they should retreat, but he believes that together they can defeat the orc. He tells Sina that he won't try to force her, but she is ready to do anything together with him. They go in front of the orc, and Sina immediately charges towards it. She jumps high to deliver a powerful kick to him, but the orc is unfazed. However, the orc moves quite slowly, giving her enough time to dodge its counter. Even then, she gets struck by a stray rock, and that gives the orc a chance to attack her once again. Sina shuts her eyes, but the orc's blow never reaches her. When she opens her eyes again, she sees Lost standing in front of her, and the orc is already starting to disintegrate because of his deadly attack. She is left speechless by this and asks Lost if he is really a healer, and he gives the same old answer that he learned a lot after his years of being an adventurer. He then suddenly notices Sina's injury, and while she tells him that it's just a scratch, he insists on healing it properly. He uses a basic healing spell on it that takes too long even to heal such a small scratch. After that, they pick up the orc's magic stone that is worth a lot. Lost says that they have earned enough money and shown their skills too, so they should head back, but Sina wants to go even deeper. They explore the dungeon some more, and then return to the guild, where Alma is taken aback to see so many magic stones. When she notices the orc's magic stone, she lashes out at Lost, asking if he took Sina to the middle floors. He explains that they found an orc near the top, and Sina confirms what he just said. Alma believes Sina's words because she has heard other reports of strong monsters being found on the surface. She believes that something must be going on inside the dungeon, but she can't say for sure. She then asks if they want to sell the magic stones, and Lost confirms. Alma is really happy as she prepares their money, and Lost tells the confused Sina that the guild employees get a commission based on the sales made by the adventurers they manage. Soon, Alma presents a lot of money to them, and Lost is shocked because he didn't even earn 1/10 of it in his previous party for the same work. It finally dawns on him that he has been played like a fiddle by his previous party that scammed him of his hard-earned money. Alma always knew this, but she is not exactly a champion of justice. Sina says that it is too mean and the guild should step in, and Alma replies that they will solve the case for a good fee. However, Lost doesn't want to bother with it because he has already joined a new party and moved on from his past. They leave the guild with that and go straight to an inn Lost often visits and asks the owner if she has any spare rooms. The lady asks Lost if they need separate rooms or a shared one. Sina begins to let her fantasy run wild about sharing a bed with Lost, but he opts for separate rooms, disappointing her. Once inside her room, Sina begins to remember the day Lost saved her when she was a blonde. He healed her minor injuries, and Sina told him that when she grows up, she will become an adventurer and form a party with him. Ever since that day, she has been training hard to become a strong adventurer. But now that she has formed a party with him, he doesn't even recognize her. She knows that it is obvious that after so many changes in her appearance, Lost wouldn't know who she was, but she still feels hurt. She shakes off these negative feelings and swears that no matter what, she is going to stick by Lost's side and protect him. However, she wonders why the people of the city call him talentless when he is so strong. At night, Lost has a dream about the day he was kicked out of his former party, Lightning Blade. They had taken a mission to hunt a powerful monster, but one of their main damage dealers got injured and was infected with poison as well. While the swordsman tried to hold off against the monster, Lost used his basic healing spell on the purple-haired girl, who told him to hurry up. She called him useless because his healing spell wouldn't detoxify the poison, and Lost told her that this would not happen if their party leader bought antidotes like he asked. The blonde swordsman told him that antidotes are too expensive, and it is Lost's fault that he can't use any purification spell despite being a healer. The Hydra monster began pushing him back, so he asked the timid magician to shoot some spells at it. The magician did as she was told, but her fireball did 0 damage, and she gave in to fear. The blonde decided that this mission was impossible, so he turned his back on his friends and ran away. The timid magician also ran away screaming, and Lost had to support the purple-haired girl as they followed them. The next day, the swordsman told Lost that he was fired from their party because he was a total waste of oxygen and they would do better without him. Lost was shocked to hear this, but both the swordsman and the purple-haired girl told him that it was his fault that they failed the previous mission. They even forced the magician into blaming him, and that was the end of his time with Lightning Blade. As Lost wakes up from the dream, he thinks that he had convinced himself that he didn't care about being kicked from the party. He then recalls that something even worse happened years ago when he was already gaining fame as the incompetent healer. A party approached him, and he was so eager to become a real adventurer that he joined them without asking any questions. However, those bastards just pushed him in front of dangerous monsters because they needed Lost to be bait. As he tried to run and dodge the monsters, the bastards began sneaking away, but the monsters noticed them. Karma is a bitch, and she came back to bite them in the worst possible way, with the monsters ending their lives. Lost was horrified by this, and he somehow managed to make it out of the dungeon. He was thinking about giving up on being an adventurer when he saw a carriage under attack by goblins. The only survivor was the young Sina, and without wasting a second, Lost charged ahead to save her. He was ready to sacrifice his life to save her, but then someone hit him from behind, and he passed out. When he woke up, he found Sina looking at him. Luckily, some knights on patrol duty had found them and gotten rid of all the goblins. Lost realized that he couldn't do much to save the girl. He felt lost and useless, but she thanked him because he bought enough time for the knights to arrive. Sina told Lost that he was very cool, and he couldn't believe her. He suddenly spotted an injury on her arm and began healing it. She thanked him, and he told her that this was all he could do. He told her how the party he joined used him as monster bait, and Sina began crying. She could not bear to see someone treated so cruelly, which is why she promised Lost that when she grows up, she will become an adventurer to form a party with him so that no one would treat him badly. She soon left with the knights, and Lost realized that she was from a noble family, so it was impossible for her to become an adventurer. However, her words encouraged him not to give up on being an adventurer, and he continued working hard. He met some mentors who told him to compensate for being a poor healer by picking up other skills. When he thought he was ready to work again, he joined the party Lightning Blade, but was kicked out after being humiliated in front of the entire guild. Lost begins thinking about the girl he saved again, and thinks that if she hadn't encouraged him that day, he would have never met Sina, not realizing that they are the same person. Just then, Sina comes to his room to invite him for breakfast, and Lost gladly joins her. After that, they head to the dungeon again, and this time they go deeper and find a floor with a teleportation circle. Lost tells Sina that the teleportation circle was placed here by a legendary magician hundreds of years ago. It can take them to various places within the dungeon where similar teleportation circles are present, but unfortunately, the skill of making them is lost to time, and no new teleportation circles can be created. After the lecture, Lost shows Sina how to use the teleportation circle and transports them to another room in the middle floors of the dungeon. Lost says that there are dangerous monsters here, so they should be more careful. Soon, they come face to face with some skeleton monsters and Sina attacks their leader, only to pass right through it. Lost defeats the monsters on his side and then comes to warn her that this is a lich, a monster that doesn't have a real body, so physical attacks don't damage it. He tells her that they should retreat for now because they can't defeat it, but Sina says that she has a technique that can beat the lich. Lost realizes that she is talking about Ki, the spiritual energy that expert martial artists can manipulate and use as a weapon. He taunts and lures the lich after him while Sina waits for her chance behind a pillar, gathering her Ki around her fist. Just as the lich passes her by, she comes out of hiding and hits it with her Ki-powered punch, immediately destroying it. Sina is proud of this, but then suddenly, the wounds she got from attacking the lich earlier begin to hurt. Lost rushes to her side and pulls out a pokeball-like magic tool that can amplify his healing powers. He casts healing magic on Sina's arm, and with the power of the magic tool, her injuries get healed quite quickly. Later, they return to the Adventurer Guild and present their loot to the receptionist Alma, who is delighted to see the magic stone from a lich because it is quite expensive. As Lost and Sina head to rest for the night, they find two adventurers arguing with each other in the middle of the road. Lost complains that it seems like all the problematic adventurers are coming to this city, and Sina can see that he is right. Lost is not happy that these people are ruining the vibe of the city, but decides to forget about them and have a nice meal to celebrate their success. As they sit down to eat, Sina asks Lost about the huge pillar in the middle of the city. She asks if it is a monument, but he tells her that he has no idea. He is also curious about the purpose of the pillar, but when he asked the craftsman about it, they couldn't tell him anything. They only got the blueprint and the money from an agent and have not even seen the real client. Lost has only heard that there is a whole chain of agents to keep the identity of the real client a secret, and he thinks that it is something fishy. He says that instead of wasting time and money on building such useless things, they could build a city wall to keep everyone safe from dangers. Sina says that a wall is not necessary because this city is full of adventurers who can protect the people when it counts. After that, they head to their rooms, and Sina wants to tell Lost that she wants to come over for some Netflix and chill, but she can't bring herself to say it. As she plops on her bed, she begins fidgeting because she missed the chance to slide into his pants yet again. On the other hand, Lost is thinking that it is nice to form a party with someone who values him, and he begins wondering if he will ever get to see the noble girl he saved again. Meanwhile, Lost's former party leader has found a new healer for their group. He introduces a pretty girl named Lyra to his party members, but they are not really happy about another girl joining their group. This irritates Lyra, but the blonde swordsman thinks that with a capable healer in their group, they will certainly be able to take down the Hydra this time. Later that day, the party goes to fight the same old Hydra, which has not yet healed from the injuries it got during their previous fight. The blonde idiot tells Lyra to join him at the front lines while the magician girl will support them from behind. Meanwhile, the purple-haired rogue is going to sneak behind the monster and deal critical hits when it is not looking towards her. He rushes ahead, but Lyra stops him and says that she can't fight on the front lines because she is a healer. Blondie asks what she is talking about because Lost used to do it all the time. Lyra lashes at him, asking if he was really forcing a healer into close combat. Blondie doesn't even get what he did wrong and says that Lost was only good at close combat anyway. He used to run around like crazy, but sometimes he landed solid hits on the enemies. The purple-haired rogue says that Lost was the one who cut off the Hydra's head, and Lyra is shocked. Anyway, Blondie tells her to stay back if she can't fight, but asks her if she can at least use antidote spells. Lyra confirms that she can, and Blondie is confident that they will be able to defeat the monster today. On the other hand, Lost and Sina also visit the guild at the end of the day to submit their haul. They have brought more magic stones, and while Alma is glad about the money flow, she also tells Lost to be more careful, as they always seem to head to the middle floors. Lost replies that since they are only a two-man team, they take extra caution. Alma tells him that if he gets more members, the party will be able to perform even better. She suggests they get a warrior or a magician because that would give them more options, and they will make even more money. Lost begins to consider her advice seriously, and Sina is worried that they won't be alone anymore. However, Lost says that they are fine right now, relieving her of her worries. Alma says that is fine too because they're already earning well. She tells Lost that at this rate, they can even rent a house, and Sina wants to know more about it. Lost tells her that the parties who have money can rent a house as their base. He begins thinking that his old party had also hired a private house, but he was placed in a room that was worse than even Harry Potter's. Alma pities him for being mistreated to this extent, and then tells him that it was a good thing that he got kicked out of the party, because it is not doing well right now. At the base of the Lightning Blade party, everyone is seriously injured, and Blondie is throwing a tantrum that they failed to beat the Hydra once again. Lyra is healing the magician who has severe injuries, and she tells Blondie that they lost because he charged head-on towards the Hydra despite being weak. He yells at her, but she tells him to shut the hell up because she needs to focus. She finishes casting the antidote spell on the magician, while Blondie and the purple-haired rogue come to the conclusion that their team has become weaker ever since Lost left it. They think that he was a good tool who got his job done and didn't even notice when they shorted his payment. Blondie curses him for leaving the party, and the rogue reminds this amnesiac that he was the one who kicked Lost out. Blondie is surprised to hear that, but he thinks that the problem can be solved easily by going to Lost and calling him back. The next morning, they go to the Adventurers Guild, where Blondie arrogantly tells Lost that he is here to give him the greatest honor of his life by letting him back into the Lightning Blade party. The entire guild is stunned to hear this, and Lost tries to stop Blondie from yapping about the benefits of returning to the party, but he begins talking about payment issues. He tells Lost that there were some slight miscalculations the last time, but he will be more careful about them from now on. He clings to him, saying that the new healer they got is useless, and they want him to replace her. The purple-haired rogue is disappointed with the party leader and thinks that he is going to be rejected, but then Lost thanks Blondie, shocking her. Sina is also aghast, as she thinks that Lost is going to return to the party, so she runs in front of him and tells Blondie to back off. She clearly tells him that no matter what he says, Lost is not going to join him because he is already in a party. Blondie is confident that Lost will ditch her and asks her to ask the guy himself. Lost tells Blondie that he thanked him just to be polite, but he has no intention of leaving his current party with Sina. Blondie freaks out on hearing this and starts blaming Sina for this. He tells Lost that this girl is definitely scamming him out of his money, and the guild must be in on it too. However, Lost grabs his hand and tells him to keep his girl's name out of his mouth. He says that he has no grudges against Blondie and his party, but if they try to harm his partner, he will never forgive them. He leaves with that, and Sina follows after teasing Blondie. Frustrated, he runs to Amma and tells her to refer him to a new adventurer who is strong enough to fight alongside him. Amma doesn't even want to deal with him anymore, but just then, a tall silver-haired masked knight comes there and asks Blondie if he can join his team. Blondie inspects him from all angles and then decides to test his skill right away. Amma tries to stop him, saying that fighting among adventurers is not allowed, but he tells her to get away because this is just practice. He charges at the masked knight, who swiftly draws his sword and disarms him. Blondie feels embarrassed after being humiliated in front of everyone, but he decides to get the masked guy into his team because he trusts his skill. He asks the masked man his name, and he tells him that it is S. Later that day, the innkeeper's daughter tells Lost that he has guests, and Sina decides to join him as well. They go downstairs to find that Lyra and the magician girl, Armia, have come to see him. Armia apologizes for coming to see him so suddenly, even after what happened in the past, and then says that she wants him to help their party just one time. Lost asks her to elaborate, and she explains that Blondie is stuck on beating the Hydra despite their tragic failure last time. He refuses to learn his lesson and doesn't even buy the antibiotics to help them. He has hired a new warrior to help him and is planning to challenge the Hydra again. Lost tells them that maybe the new guy is good enough, but Lyra says that they can't be too optimistic because if things turn out bad, someone could die. Lost tells them that he already refused Blondie this morning. Sina asks Armia why she wants to help Blondie so badly. Armia says that it is true that Blondie has many flaws, but despite everything, he is her party member, and she doesn't want him to die. Sina snaps at this and asks Armia if Lost was not her party member too. She asks if Armia didn't know that he was being robbed of his money and that it was unfair to kick him out. Armia begins crying as she apologizes, saying that she didn't want to do it either, but she was afraid that if she didn't blame him, she would be the one kicked out. Lyra speaks up for her, saying that Armia has been apologizing to Lost even in her sleep and asks him to at least accept her apology. Lost approaches Armia and tells her that he has no grudges against her or the party, and she gets really happy. However, he tells her that he is not going to join the party again, breaking her heart. As Armia is about to sink into despair, the innkeeper comes there with some food and begins body-shaming Armia to get her to eat everything. Meanwhile, Lost, Sina, and Lyra talk about the party's condition. Sina asks Lyra if she can get Armia to leave Lightning Blade with her, but she believes that it is not possible, and she has no intention of leaving Armia in such a horrible place on her own either. Lost realizes that Lyra is kind, and now he is worried about both of them. Later, the two girls return back to their party, and Lyra is shocked to see S, whom she knows very well. She corners him, asking what the hell he is doing here, but S tries to feign ignorance and tells her that she must be mistaking him for someone else. Lyra knows that S is a terrible actor, but she decides not to poke her nose in his business anymore. Soon, their party heads out to face the Hydra once again, and at the same time, Lost and Sina are going to the dungeon. However, Lost can't get the crying face of Armia out of his mind and keeps staring in her direction. Anyway, Lost and Sina enter the dungeon, and Sina shows off her martial arts moves as she kills some donkey-pig hybrid monsters with one punch. One of the monsters attacks her from behind, but she swiftly twirls to dodge its attack and then knocks it out with a strong kick to its head. She is proud, and Lost gives her a thumbs up as well. But just then, another monster sneaks behind her. Sina notices it in time and defeats it with a precise back kick. She boasts about her strength, saying that she can do this all day, but apparently, her stomach can't. It begins growling, and Lost laughs, telling the embarrassed girl that they should have lunch. Now they sit down in a quiet corner to eat, and as they begin eating, Lost tells Sina about the Hydra, which is a powerful monster with thick muscles and sturdy scales that bounce back basic magic and physical attacks. Sina freaks out and wonders if Armia will be safe, but Lost tells her that since the Hydra is a relatively common monster, a lot is known about how to fight it. Its poison is lethal, but the antidote can be purchased from the market. Sina replies that Lyra told them that Blondie didn't purchase the antidote because it was too expensive, and Lost tells her that Lyra will handle that with her detoxifying magic. He asks Sina not to worry too much because the Lightning Blade party isn't half bad. He says that despite being an idiot, Blondie is a decent swordsman, and Purple is quite agile and stealthy as well. Sina gets jealous on hearing Lost praise his old party, but she doesn't say it out loud. However, as they resume the dungeon exploration, she tells Lost that she has grown bored of exploring the same floors of the dungeon every day, so they should head out to the swamps where the Hydra is found for a change. In the swamps, Lightning Blade is fighting the Hydra. Blondie injures it, and then S charges ahead to finish the job. However, he only deals a deep wound to the Hydra and doesn't slash the head. Blondie asks why the hell he chickened out, but S strokes his ego, asking if he is going to let someone else take the glory of defeating the Hydra. That was all Blondie needed to forget the plan and charge straight at the Hydra, but that backfires as the monster tackles him. In the meantime, Lyra finishes healing Purple, who immediately rushes towards the Hydra. Lyra is low-key disappointed by how this party runs. S can't be fully trusted, and Blondie is an idiot. However, she sees that the Hydra is tired and their attacks are working. Even Armia is spamming fireballs, and Lyra thinks that they will win at this rate. Suddenly, the Hydra flicks a rock towards Armia, knocking her down, and as it approaches her, she gets overwhelmed by fear. Suddenly, a black smoke begins releasing from her body, and S identifies it as fear that monsters use to grow stronger. Lyra believes that it is something else because, naturally, people can't see fear. But as she touches the black smoke that is flying towards a Hydra from all directions, she realizes that it is mana. She tells everyone that monsters can mutate after absorbing mana, and the same happens with the Hydra. It evolves into a more powerful version, and even its severed heads grow back. S knows how dangerous this monster can be, so he says that they should retreat, but Blondie is still hooked on the glory he'll get after killing the Hydra. He attacks it, but his sword snaps in two on hitting the Hydra's scales. He is completely defenseless as the Hydra attacks him, but then, out of nowhere, Lost arrives and parries the attack. S tells Lost to go and help Armia while he deals with the monster here. Lost agrees and goes to Lyra, who is trying to help Armia, but that is hard because magicians are resistant to magic, and healing spells don't work too well on them either. Lost takes up the task and begins spamming the basic healing spell. Lyra is perplexed and asks what the hell he is doing, and his former party members tell her that he is overlapping the healing spells because that is how he healed them in the past. Lyra says that it is not possible because it's like drinking a bottle of cough syrup and hoping that the coughing is cured instantly. However, Lost makes this seemingly impossible method work, and Armia wakes up before immediately going back to sleep. Soon after that, Lost and Sina join the fight along with S. Sina attacks the Hydra's head, and then Lost slashes it to create a weak spot. After that, S charges ahead with his magic sword and slices the Hydra's head with one swing of his blade. As the fight continues, the Hydra takes Sina by surprise and knocks her out. It keeps her as a hostage to challenge Lost to a one-on-one fight because, after evolution, it has grown more intelligent, and it remembers that Lost was the one who cut its heads. Lost takes up the monster's challenge only to get humbled within seconds. He gets seriously injured and falls to the ground. However, he suddenly wakes up again, his body overflowing with magic. Everyone is taken aback on seeing Lost, as he looks like he has been possessed by a demon. A horn protrudes from his forehead, and he cuts all the heads of the Hydra in a single move, easily defeating it. Everyone is stunned to see this, but then Lost suddenly returns to normal and collapses. He wakes up later with Cena by his side, who tells him that Lyra healed him with the only antidote she had bought. Lyra and S have questions about the power Lost just displayed, but before they can say anything, Blondie and Purple begin praising Lost, saying that he is really amazing. They flatter him to get him back, and even offer to split the money from this mission evenly between the three of them. Blondie and Purple say that the two newcomers didn't do much, so they don't get a cut, and ask Lost to keep his psychic satisfied somehow. He asks them about Armia's share, and they say that she is no longer of any use, so they don't consider her a member of their party. They go as far as saying that maybe they should sell her to some rich pervert, and the very next moment, Cena deals a solid punch to Blondie's face. He freaks out and says that he will complain to the guild because attacking other adventurers is banned, and he has witnesses. However, S decides to shut him up for good and says that they were talking about selling Armia to some rich perverted noble, and that is a very serious crime. He says that they are under arrest with immediate effect, and everyone learns the truth only when they get back to the guild. S is actually a high-ranking adventurer who works at the guild headquarters in the capital. Everyone is shocked to hear this, and S takes off his mask as he explains that it is the duty of elite adventurers to maintain law and order, among others. He had heard that things in this city were pretty bad because of some ill-behaved adventurers, so he came here for an undercover investigation. Lyra asks what is going to happen to Blondie and Purple now, and the receptionist Alma says that they will be expelled from the Adventurer Guild and possibly be thrown in jail for life. They freak out on hearing this and tell us that since they haven't done anything, they should be set free. They even offer to pay him, but he doesn't pay them any attention. Suddenly, Lost asks to talk in private with S. They go outside, where Lost requests S to let Purple and Blondie go this time because, deep down, he believes Purple and Blondie are not that bad people. He wants to give them a second chance so that they can continue to be adventurers and atone for their mistakes. S decides to accept his request and frees the two culprits, but tells them to get as far away from this town as possible, because if he finds them again, they're going to prison. They run away, and then Alma asks S if it is right to let them go. He replies that firing them from the guild may not make them better people, but if they can monitor them, there is still hope. For that purpose, he decides to stay in the town for some time. Later that night, S tells Lyra that his real mission here is to investigate the growing number of mutating monsters in this area, and he suspects the guild branch's chief to be behind it. He asks Lyra to form a party with him like the old times, and she says that she will only do so if he lets Armia join them as well, because she can't just abandon her. S agrees to her request, and then says that he can do with another ally because he plans to keep an eye on Lost and his strange power as well. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to keep up to date with the next episode.